I'm gonna turn it over to him, and he can, I don't have to bore you today.
What's that thing?
There's a microphone.
Oh, God.
So we're gonna hook you up right here.
I've been hooked up to a lot of things in the last 6 months, so that's nothing. Oh, I've really got hooked up to a lot of things in the last 6 months. Yeah, my name's Kris. I live in Western Massachusetts. Probably back in November or so, Robert put something out on Facebook about visiting artists, and I said, why not? I'll throw that out there. I'd met Bob at the National, and we had some chats and stuff before. And got an email from him one day. He said, what are you doing in November? What are you doing in February? And I said, hopefully coming out. And he gave me some dates, and it worked out fine with my schedule. I am not a bonsai professional. It's not what I really do for a living. I've been in kitchens, and I'm a chef by trade, and I teach culinary arts.
A good one, too.
Ted and I ran across each other, many years ago at Pauline Woods in New York. So we were just sharing a couple of memories, and I brought a pot for him that Pauline had made. How I got to Pauline's was, I got into bonsai. I was in Seattle, actually, and I was there for about 6 years. My first bonsai tree, like most people, was one of these, and it took me all of 2 months to kill it because I loved it, and I watered it, and I watered it, and I loved it, and I pruned it, and I pruned it, and I loved it, and I watered it, and then it was brown. I still have the pot. 4 years later, I moved back to the East Coast, and I drove with a cap on my truck and 60 trees. So I had taken classes in Seattle. I moved back to the East Coast, and there was a local club. And one spring, I went out digging apples, crab apples, and hawthorns. And the following year, they said, there's this crazy old man who lives north of here. People call him the ogre. He's having a workshop. I said, sounds like fun to me. And I went up, and that was my first meeting with Nick Lenz, and began 26 years of friendship. After the very first meeting, he told me, you can't leave. I said, what did I do? He's like, I saw that you had a delicious beer in your cooler. Grab them and come with me. And he's got a little frog pond. So we sat up in the frog pond, and he's like, what do you want out of bonsai? I said, I want to learn as much as I can. They said, I want to learn about trees. I want to learn about styles. I want to learn. He's like, only if you learn the rules and then throw them away. I believe a lot in working with a tree, not against it. Not trying to force too much of my own will upon it. Nick also sent me down the road of collecting trees. If people want Yamadori in New England, they come and see me. I've been at collecting trees in Yamadori for about 25 years. It takes a lot to find them. It takes a lot to learn how to collect them successfully. A lot of the species that I collect, you guys can't grow here, I'm sorry. You've seen beautiful larch trees and eastern white cedars. And it's been a lot of fun. And I go and I collect trees, and I started selling a few, and it was actually Pauline one day. I was selling trees at her place, and she's like, you need to have a name for yourself. And I'm like, yeah, not really. I don't really care. It's not what I'm into. And she's like, no, you need a name. And at the time, I was driving a black Dodge pickup truck. And she's like, you drive a black Dodge, and it's bonsai. And for about the last 22 years, that's what BDB is Black Dodge Bonsai. It was Paulina's fault. But I go to, the Mid-Atlantic Bonsai, and I vend there. I have been vending at the National. One of my very good friends is Mark Arpag, and he's kind of like Bill Valvance's left-hand guy. So Mark's a lot right. Yeah, Mark's a lot nicer to deal with than Bill is. So that's a little bit of my history, I guess. Ted knows that Pauline passed away in that same year, just before Pauline, Nick passed away. And a couple months after Pauline passed, Marty went. Smiling bird.
I did not know that.
Yep, Marty's been gone now 3 years.
Oh, wow.
That was like my bonsai mother, my bonsai father, and my crazy Uncle Larry. Because if you ever read anything about Marty Schmallenberg, he was a little cuckoo. Super nice guy. So I've been kind of like bouncing around trying to find somebody to hang out with and teach me more about bonsai. And there's a gentleman that you guys all love that comes out here from the East Coast. His name's Sue Thin. I get to hang out and play with Sue Thin now. And that's a ton of fun. I'm sorry about the mints, but I get dry. I've had some health issues, and well, cancer sucks, but to hell with cancer because I don't have cancer anymore. It's great. Very, very happy about it. Struggle's real for people that have it. Support them. But I appreciate you guys having me out here. Doing demos in this short amount of time, or even when I see demos done at the National or Mid-Atlantic, there's some other people in the room that feel kind of the same way that I do, that sitting there beating on a tree just to produce something so somebody can raffle something off is wrong. I think it should take a little bit more time than that. There should be some care.
Flip me out for a minute. I looked at the clock and said 8:15, and I was like, oh,
No time.
You should be out there.
I really think that a lot of the conventions should think about restructuring how they do it and work on the same tree multiple times. Let somebody work on it. Somebody takes care of it, it comes back, make sure that that artist is coming back, and give it some time. Because of where I live, my growing season is a lot shorter than yours, and we will either repot or we will wire and style. And then the next year we have the year off, let it grow, maybe remove wire if we wired and styled it. And then the third year we'll repot it. So we kind of work in a 3-year cycle for the most part because our growing season is a little shorter. I have friends that push trees a little harder and they're like, why did it die? I'm like, I don't know. I try to tell you. But while I've been out here, I've been learning a ton of stuff. The one thing, and I'm going to ask you guys because I'm still a little confused. I think somebody's trying to yank my cranky a little bit. Somebody was talking about putting molasses in their soil.
I think that was you.
Huh? No, that was not me. I'm the Preparation H guy. We'll talk about that in a minute. And not for me, but for the tree. It was one of those people at the...
Oh, I know, but it was Bill Ward. Where is he? Yeah,
Not
Bill
here.
Ward.
And then there,
Molasses is fertilizer.
and then this woman found like dry molasses, showed us the article, and it says that it's good for soil, it's good for fertilizer, it helps your plants. And I'm like, my God, they're not yanking my cranky, it's real. But it's just been a ton of fun. The climate here is very different. You guys have a lot of different trees, and I really appreciate the fact that Bob brought me out here, and all of you guys are here. This is a nice little procumbens juniper. It's pretty happy. Thankfully, somebody's gone through, they've cleaned it all out. For me, the cool part is we don't usually see them like this. We always see the juvenile growth. We hardly ever see this adult foliage on here like this. Or is it the other way around? I get them confused. I don't grow many procumbens, only because it was my first bonsai tree and it only took me 2 months to kill it, and I still have some hard feelings about it. And I don't think the tree does, but I do. When I started working with Nick, Nick was a funny man. I would leave all my tools out, and I had a tree, and I was kind of set on what I saw, and he saw something else. And one of the other students said, hey, Nick has a lot of pottery for sale. Want to go to the pottery and look at pots? And I'm like, sure, sounds good. I left all my tools on the table. Came back about 20 minutes later, and there is my tree, and all of its branches are gone, and it's exactly like Nick wanted to do with it. And I just stood there and I stared at it, and I'm looking around, all the other students are laughing, they knew what happened. And I see Nick, and he's trying to not, like, he's got a little smirk on his face. And the other students are like, listen, you don't ever leave a tree on the table with your tools out and Nick's around. It's an open invitation. So through the years, we had a lot of new people and first-time workshop people, and we would never say anything about putting your tools away. But he would sit down and he would just, look at the tree and what does the tree have to offer. Work with it for the most part. Try to find things that are interesting, and start eliminating some of the known problems and defects. Go through it and clean it out, which you've already done, which is great. I looked at it a little bit, and I kind of have a thought, an idea. We saw a picture of it earlier, and I said to Bob, I said, you know what, I'm going to find the first branch, I'm going to cut the entire top off, I'm going to make something out of the first branch, and we can go home. He's like, that's a great idea. He's like, I do that all the time, I buy these junipers, and that's exactly what I do. Actually, you leave the top on, you just gin the whole thing and do things. How long have you had it?
Oh, I just picked it up a month ago.
Okay, so have you looked at it at all?
Yeah.
Have you thought about what you thought you saw, or?
Yeah.
What did you see in it?
I saw a nice tree. That's why I bought it. I saw a nice tree in there.
It does have a very nice trunk. It has nice dividing. It does. It has some nice movement. Did you see an upright tree?
A little bit.
Oh, I don't see an upright tree. I see things a little bit differently, I think. Because again, what I'm looking for is taper, movement. Nick's theory on trees, and every time we'd go and look at his trees, we'd get up to where the benches are, and there was a gate that you would go through. And before we went through the gate, we'd stop, and Nick would always want to listen. And then we'd kind of peek around the corner. Because he always thought when there weren't humans around, that his trees were dancing and having a party. Always in motion. Always creating some sort of interest. I mean, Nick Lenz didn't really have any issues creating interest with all the toys and cars and baby dolls and everything else that he would add into his trees. I don't think he was as artistic's not the word for Laurent. How would I describe Laurent without hurting feelings? The cosmic bonsai guy?
You're not go ahead.
Yeah, I like Laurent. I met him. I like the fact that he is trying to do something that's very, very, very different. He's one of those people where you like it or you don't, and it's very cut and dry. Unfortunately, I think that he is his own worst enemy right now. He loved what Nick Lenz would do, and just the little things. I care for about 30 of his trees, and I just say that I'm the caretaker. Trees develop and they grow and they change, and my job is to try to keep them as close to what Nick would have done, if he was still here, still with us. I have a tree that he put a larch on, has ceramic sculpture, and it's just all kinds of faces with the Navarios. I have a very big Chinese elm, and it's a little plastic hamster, but I call it a capybara. And it's so grown into the tree now that when people come and they look at it, I'm like, oh, wiggle its nose. And they go to wiggle its nose, and I make like a really loud squeak and scares them, And, Nick would plant trees through cars. The one that is in the Pacific Rim is in it's like a half moon pot that he made. but it's got like snakes and stuff and little weird creatures all over the pot. The tree's known as the gargoyle. I think they've let it overgrow a little too much from what Nick would have wanted. Up in Montreal, at the Botanical, there are probably 30 or 40 of his trees. Nick and David Easterbrook had a special relationship, and he felt that his trees would do better up there, especially with climate. There's a gentleman in Toronto who has, if you've never heard of her, Penelope. And it's Nick's very famous larch that's planted on it's like a stone Roman goddess. You know, she's in a reclining, she's in a reclining pose and the roots grow over. So Nick was pretty artistic, and he liked trees that when you saw them, it would create some sort of emotion. You would see motion. So I don't really like boring static things. I don't like to throw Doug Paul under the bus either, but I've been to the Kenny collection, and after you've seen 4 or 5 rows of Japanese black pines that have all come Japan, and they all look the same, they all have a helmet on the top, they start to get a little bit boring, because they all just kind of blend together. But he has some that just kind of stand out, and there's a little bit of wildness to them. There's, there's motion, there's feeling. I did one workshop at Jason Chan's, and this woman, I took a branch and I bent it way up over the top, and she's like, "There's a bird's nest there." And I'm like, "Oh, please, don't let this happen, please." I'm thinking in my head, no. And I put the branch down and I moved on, and I came back and she's like, "Are you ready?" I said, "Ready for what?" She's like, "I want you to bend that branch back up there, and I want my little bird's nest in the top of this." It was kind of literati-ish. "And I want my bird's nest there." And I'm like, okay. We had a lot of fun that day. I think bonsai should be fun. I've been in workshops with people where everybody was like super quiet. They were very intense, and it wasn't a lot of fun. I like to have fun. I like to have fun with trees. Most of us are into bonsai for the enjoyment of it. There's a lot of people out there that are super, super serious, and I respect that. I'm not one of those people, I like a little whimsy. So I'm gonna try to put a little bit of whimsy in this. I apologize for what is about to happen.
Your tree.
My tree, no, if it was my tree,
It's gonna be my tree.
I would end up taking it home. Does this do that in close and, I don't know. So typically and normally I would go through here, I would clean up every little piece of brown. I would take out every little piece of foliage in between all the little crotches of the branches, get everything cleaned up so that I could put on my 3 readers and I could see what was going on. I have spun this around. I have looked at it from a couple of different views. Some people will say, well, you need to look at the roots. Your nabari is going to determine your front. I don't believe it. Some of my trees at home, the nabari on the back of the tree is absolutely gorgeous. But if you use that as the front, that front has no interest and it's boring. The front that I picked, it has absolutely no roots in the front. Trunk goes right down to the soil, but the tree looks really cool that way. The upper part of the tree. It's important to have nabari. It's important to have nice nabari, nice roots. But I don't let it set the front of the tree for me. Typically what I'm looking for is taper and trying to follow the line that gives me the best taper on the tree. And this could be done as an upright. The tree comes up here, and then it takes almost a sharp 90-degree bend. And then there's a couple of little whoop-de-doos in it, and it comes out into a long branch over here. That branch could be taken, and over the course of about 4 or 5 hours, some raffia, some wire, and some grunt muscle, we could pick that whole branch up and create an informal upright. And it's gonna be pretty stressful on the tree, and you said that you just repotted this too, right? So I'm thinking of a different option, which isn't going to create a lot of stress on the tree. I'm going to leave you the option that somewhere down the road that you could possibly turn it into an upright. But some of this junk's gotta go. Oh, hey, Ted, you're gonna love this. Because Pauline turned me on to something else besides trying to wire right. Look at that concave cutter. She loved her tiny tools. I always scoffed at her little small tools because I was a man and needed big tools. Little baby tools. Okay, so that's gonna go that way. Believe it or not, this is gonna be the front of the tree, just looking at you. Yep, that's the future front right there. Oh, Ted, you wanna come look at this, please? Oh, is that you? No, it's not a you. Well, I do like yews. Yews are nice. You guys grow them, right?
Not really,
No?
not too much, no.
Branches that are going straight up or straight down, unless you can twist the branch, they're out of here. Ooh. Do you guys take cuttings
Yeah,
of this?
yeah, sure.
It's all yours. It's all yours. You guys are so lucky. You have olives here. You can just cut the branches off and put them in dirt and they root. You have pomegranate here. It has beautiful twisty bark. You just cut them off and they root. I hate all of you. I'm sorry, just Joe. I was going to show Joe a picture, but we kind of got sidetracked. I was going to show him a picture of my trees back home. All my good trees are in my garage. My garage is very well insulated. It has a very thick concrete slab. And as soon as it freezes, all my trees go in there. I have beautiful heavy-duty shelves. The shelves need to be heavy-duty because when it snows, I shovel snow into my garage. My neighbors all think I'm crazy. Maintains the temperature at 25 degrees until just about April when it's time to bring them out. About February, I will go into my garage and I will start pulling out one tree at a time. I wrap it in a big blanket. I put it down. I wrap the base in a pot. And I will fully wire it without bending a branch. And that sucks. It's hard because I want to bend it. But I can't crack it open because it'll kill it if all that cold gets into the cambium. Then I have to put it back and I have to grab another tree and wire that one. Grab another tree and wire that one. Grab another tree and wire that one. But the cool thing is when springtime comes, we're pretty much all set to go. Okay, you're growing backwards.
What kind of trees do you work on? What kind of trees do you work on?
Everything I can get my hands on. I love eastern white cedar. I love American larch trees. We collect, pretty soon Bob's gonna be doing a test run on some pitch pine and somebody's gonna send him one. Our East Coast pitch pine, I think, is better than Japanese black pine. They're just a little fussy to collect and fussy to get established, but once they do, they're beautiful trees. Oh, do you see where we're going now? I'm just following a trunk line. And it's not that one either. But, oh, we could do that, even though it's cracky, because I don't care. Because it's cracky and I don't care. So I told you I still wanted to leave you an option as an upright. I've got one branch here that's coming off the top of the tree. And I've been flopping it around, and this one's already cracked, but I've also been told that if you crack them here, it's not that big a deal, that they're just usually typically fine. I'm thinking about bending this one up for you. And we could leave that as an option. You can actually probably bend this one over the top and leave that as an option. But this branch that's bending backwards, that is probably going to be the one that could be cool. But other than that, most of this other stuff's all coming off. Because you're not gonna make a nice gin. This one could make a nice gin. That's gotta go. Whose wire is this? Is this yours, Joe?
That's our
Club wire?
club wire.
Does everybody out here use aluminum wire?
Mostly.
Oh. I use almost copper wire on everything. Because copper, once you get it on and you bend it, it stays. But our growing season's a lot shorter. And if I used copper out here the way that I put it on, I would have to take it off halfway through the growing season. And copper's kind of expensive, aluminum's fairly cheap. So I understand why you guys use aluminum. I posted a couple of pictures on Facebook, and I'm getting crap from everybody back east. Oh, look at this! Springer's using AL. It's like, thanks, California. Thank you,
Just
people.
tell them it's showing your diversity and how skillful you are.
That's right.
You can use whatever is given to you to work with.
I actually was telling them that that's all that David had at his house. So I was kind of blaming it all on you.
My name's not David, so I don't.
Oh,
care.
David Robert.
That's just plenty of copper sitting on the wall.
Yeah, no, you haven't. I was blaming it on you. Who's David out here? Oh my God.
You haven't met David yet.
Okay, we're gonna leave that. I'm gonna leave you for right now. I was asking Robert about how much sap flow is going on right now in these, and to make gins with. For us, when these are actively growing, and we squeeze them with gin pliers, bark just literally just peels off real nice and easy. But I don't know how.
It'll come off now. It won't be as easy as in the summer, but it'll come off.
Who wants? Oh, you want this?
Hey, I'll throw another juniper.
The man has a
Wow. If you can make those come back to life, that's awesome. We can't do that.
Really?
With some Shumpaco, we can do it. They'll take, if we have a long enough season. I should have grabbed your pliers. Oh yeah, that'll come
Those things will have roots in 2 months.
They'll have roots and when?
2 months. Fill up a little 2-inch pot.
Alright, I know that that'll come off, but I also want to get some wire on this and get things going a little more. I'm not gonna want that one. This is coming back. Not gonna want the little one. It's too bad you just repotted this. You might have needed a taller pot eventually for what's gonna happen. There's a series of branches right here, and I'm hoping I'm going to be able to kind of stack and layer them. But there's one big one right here that really kind of messes with the taper. And I don't think that it's going to serve any function as a gin. So I got a feeling where this is coming out of here. Watch out for his eyes, Ed. Okay. So you're probably gonna fold back up over. Or maybe not, or maybe. 2 layers?
when you use aluminum, you get confused inside?
Yeah,
Because the
I
copper.
get very confused.
Yeah, because copper,
So I'm like, is this gonna hold it? I'm like, I don't know, I hardly use it. But the thing is, if I put this on, it doesn't hold it, I'll just grab another piece, run another one right beside it, or I'll take the bigger one. That's how I do it.
You don't have to test, right? Just push on the branch with the wire.
Yeah.
You wouldn't cut copper wire that size with that big little wire.
Absolutely.
That size?
I was doing it in Jason's, copper bigger than this. They're nice little tools. So I'm sure that most of you are fairly proficient at wiring, so I'm not gonna go into any crazy detail with that. Pauline Muth. One of the reasons why Nick Lenz sent me to see Pauline was because my wiring sucked. My wiring still sucks. Pauline was always adamant about learning how to wire to show standards. And her thought was that if you learn how to wire to show standards, and somebody asked you to put a tree in a show and your tree had wire all over it, that it could still go into the show. I looked at her and I said, I really don't care if any of my trees ever go into shows. I appreciate the lessons in wiring and how I should do it and why. She would get mad at me because I would run wire this thick all the way out to the tip of a branch that was half that size. She's like, why are you doing that? I'm like, because it's there. You know, it's one of those, why do you want to do that? Because it's there. So I just want to get the length of this one wire, because we may use this. May come in handy as something in the back to lend depth. You guys all know that people that do bonsai, we're all magicians, right? Nobody ever told you that you're all magicians? You're all magicians. We're illusionists. We create the illusion of age. We create the illusion of perception. How many people have told you to take your tree and hold it up? Well, that's right, you can't hold it up in nature and see it like in the forest because you guys don't have a lot of forests around here. Wow, Bob took me on a long ride today. Where was that high mountain, whatever it was, that we went to? Out by Edwards Air Force Base?
Yeah, but it cost them 138.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Some mountains, some desert, some.
The whole,
The California junipers along the way.
Yeah.
oh yeah, they were. And he's like, yeah, but you know, none of them were collectible. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I got it. Part of going through and cleaning up, which by the way, you did a really good job. I appreciate it.
thank you.
Some of the stuff that I'm picking out is because it's so dense. I don't like taking the wire and actually pinching the greenery. So I've got to kind of plan where I'm running this through. One of the trees that I worked at Bob's, I told him, I said, Bob's, yeah. I said it's got wire all over it. And whoever wired it, they knew they were never taking that wire off. There were knots and squiggles.
Is it out here? No, our bear.
Of the trees that I worked on at your
Wired
place,
it up to sell it at the swap meet or something.
the trees that I wired at his place, I didn't do that, so that was nice. That's one side. Hello, little buddy. Are we going to keep you? that shows the front, that could possibly be a back. One potential gym there. Alright. So, some of you may have already kind of guessed. I'm looking at sort of a cascade style. Something that's been growing up on a cliff. Like I said, I just followed this trunk line that seemed interesting enough. And I was looking for taper. I was looking for usable foliage. Again, trying to take it a little bit easy on the tree because it has just been kind of wired down into this spot. Is there anybody here that's had a chance to work with Sue then, when he's been out here? No?
Question,
Yes.
how do you say his last name?
I
Okay.
don't say it. I can't. I can't. And when he says it, he always says it with like this little smile on his face. Suthin's awesome. When he laughs, the whole room laughs. He's a good teacher. If you put a piece of material down in front of him, and you let him work, he's a freaking magician. He would have kept a lot of all this little stuff, and he would have made you like a little teeny tiny tree, like right here. Perfect. Little gins coming out and stuff. So if any of you guys have any questions, I mean, please feel free. I mean, I know I grow trees in a whole different world than you do. And we're not quite as fortunate as you guys have here in California. Oh, here we
It's
go.
a good recipe for New England clam chowder.
You need a whole bunch of fat back. You need a lot of diced onion. You render down your fat back. You remove most of the grease. You can sweat your onions. You want to keep going? Huh? Fat back. On some of a pig. Fat back. You get a whole bunch of chopped clams, fresh ones. And you have to have Yukon Gold potatoes. And those all get diced up nice. And you blanch your potatoes. No, this isn't a cooking class. Oh, guys. Maybe. So where this branch is coming from, it's going to be kind of hidden. So again, it's that whole illusion thing. So I can kind of put this branch wherever I may need it. And it may need to just come completely off at some point. Alright, I don't know what number this wire is, but I'm liking this one. Seems to be working fine. RPAG, where are you?
He's probably sound asleep by now.
Yeah, he's out like a light. Oh, well, back east. When Jim Doyle was at Pauline's doing demos and stuff, Kris come up and wire. RPAG was there. Kris come up and wire. Bob, you gonna come up and wire for him? No. I know you're not. It's fine. That's okay.
Too many chefs.
Oh, by the way, Robert's wife is pretty good chef on her own.
I can attest to that.
I have not been wanting for somebody else to cook. Although tonight's barbecue wasn't all that great.
You pick it.
Hey, I know. I just thought about the Mexican joint. Maybe we should have Mexican. Yes, Pauline, you saw that. I won't tell anybody. She doesn't. By the way, whoever's kid that is, she's very cute.
Thank you.
What's your favorite tree to work on?
What season is it? I love larch and eastern white cedar, probably the same. Our eastern white cedar, when we collect them up on a mountain, sometimes they come out bare root. We'll take a little piece of moss that we've gotten from the forest, we soak it down, we throw it in the bag, we tie it all up. We carry them down, it sits by the truck for 2 days, we drive home, it waits a day, and we'll get ready to pot them up in plastic. And if it's a really cool white cedar, we'll put it in a little Baikoen Bonsai pot with bonsai soil, we'll wire it down, we'll prune it, we'll fully wire it, style it, put it out on the benches in full sun, and it grows like a weed. I mean, that's like the best thing that we have as far as bulletproof species. Larches are like having a conifer that turns colors in the fall and drops all its needles. They turn brilliant yellow in the fall, and they're beautiful. And then all winter long you can study their structure without any foliage in the way, and they're gorgeous.
Chris, do you go up and collect any of those out of the bogs, the peat bogs and stuff?
25 years worth of collecting, oh yeah. Yeah. Every step you take is up to your knees. If you step in the wrong places, you might end up to your armpits, or worse.
Cypresses in the swamps.
We had one young man, thank God he had a tree in each arm, they acted as like little floaties. He punched both feet through in the Dragon Bog because it's only like this. Sometimes you walk on them and they go like this. And he punched through and he had his arms out with 2 big bags of root balls. And I came from one direction and my friend I collected with come from the other direction. Just trying to grab a hold of him. It was a little scary for a few minutes.
Did you let go of the trees?
What's that?
Did you let go of the trees?
No. No. Those trees are keeping him on top of the surface. So yeah, it's just being careful. You know, when I first started, I was young and dumb and crazy, and nothing can hurt me. And you know, now I'm very, very careful. Quite often, I'll cut like an 8-foot section of a stick about this big. It's nice and straight. I use it like as a walking stick to be able to feel things. And if I ever do go through, I can throw it sideways and put my arms on it so I don't go through. So there's ways of being safe about it, or see fish. We run across black bear. Black bear aren't dangerous. You guys have freaking mountain lions. Bob was telling me he saw a mountain lion on the road, and I'm like, I ain't going out there at night. Nope, not happening. Mountain lions. What's wrong with you people?
Bears here use hot tubs.
What's that?
So the bears here use hot tubs.
Yeah. They come out of the woods and people go out and get in the hot tub.
I've never seen that.
People keep the hot tubs cool in the summer. They
Oh,
come out
no
of the
kidding.
woods and they get in the hot tubs. Happens all the
Oh my
time.
God. All right. Here we go. And you're gonna be fine. Look up. Down. Like twisty, set those branches sideways. I know I said cascade, right? Oh.
Yes, you did.
Well, I also leaving him the option of potentially having that.
I'm gonna win the tree, so you're leaving me the option.
What, I didn't think anybody would do a raffle on this.
You
we
always
are.
win the
Oh, okay.
Not always.
If
but
Bob's
most
gonna-
of the time.
If Bob's gonna win it, who's got a saw? Always about the health of the tree. All right, I need something smaller this time, but not small. I like
I'll
you.
be there Saturday.
We start, you guys will love this. Our repotting season starts in May. Maybe the last 2 weeks of April, if you have a hoop house greenhouse,
I started November.
and you suck. I'm sorry. Not, you know, don't take offense, but wow. It's a very different world out here, and it's pretty cool. I like it. That's out of the way. You hear Pauline screaming at me again already?
She could give a look. She could really give a look. She was a teacher, so she could really.
If I can get your email address when we're done. At the Mid-Atlantic, the year once all three of them had passed and gone by, they asked me to get up and speak and do a tribute speech. I'd like to send it to you.
Yeah, I would like to hear that.
Some of you guys have heard of this thing called the U.S. National? The U.S. National show that's held in Rochester? Everybody here is like, yeah, who gives a crap? It's a long way away. Well, I had been asked to bring Nick Lenz over to Pauline's one summer. And when we got there, Marty Schmallenberg was there. And I'm like, oh, this is really cool. I got all three of them. I got my bonsai mother, my bonsai father, and my crazy Uncle Larry. And so that evening, after supper, they were all sitting down and they were looking at pictures. And I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, oh, we have to pick the trees for the first U.S. National show. So, okay, cool, I'm out of here. I gotta go by. I don't know anything. And it was actually Marty Schmallenberg that said, Kris, sit down. It's like, we want your opinion. And he's like, no offense, we want your opinion as someone that really doesn't know much about bonsai.
Oh, wow.
No, you have to remember,
This is a long time ago.
This is like 20 plus years ago, and I wasn't offended at all. Actually, I'm like, I'm going to sit down with the three people that are going to pick the very first trees for the very first U.S. National. This is cool. I wasn't offended. No, it was a lot of fun, actually. It was a good time. Good people. And so far, everybody out here in California is doing awesome.
You still got a couple days.
There's this guy I'm going to see tomorrow. You all know him by the name of Doyle.
Yes.
His name is not Doyle.
What?
His name's not Doyle.
What is it?
He came to the U.S. National and he introduced himself as Doyle to me. And I looked at him and I said, Doyle is an Irish name. I said, your name out here is East Coast Tony. And I was vending, and everybody I saw, and I would point him out. See that guy? Call him Tony. Call that guy Tony. So that's East Coast Tony. He's super nice guy.
We'll see him this weekend.
Yeah, just call him Tony. So when I sit down and I work on trees, I try not to lose my tools for one thing. I will sit here and I will like try to throw wire on everything, and then I sit down and I start fine tuning. Sue Finn is like the master of genius of that. He'll be sitting there wiring, things will look all crazy. And then he sits down for like 15 minutes and he starts bending things and you just go, how did you do that? I am no Sue Finn. But I like having fun with shoes. I like to think I can wire them enough that
So you mentioned preparation H before, what are you doing?
There we go.
There you go, yeah.
I was waiting for either you or somebody else to bring it up because it's always a funny thing. A long time ago, Nick Lenz, larches bleed a lot of sap. And there's other pine species that bleed lots of sap. And it's basically, it's a waste of the tree's energy to produce all that sap. And it also wastes the tree's energy to produce a callus, and then to have it slide over the wound. So Nick was thinking to himself one day, what can I do to make this tree think that it has produced enough resin, enough sap, and what is going to ease the healing? And he's like, Vaseline. Let's try Vaseline. So we used Vaseline for a number of years, and he found that it actually would heal the tree about twice as fast. They weren't oozing sap. He'd put a little bit of Vaseline inside the cut. He'd take cut paste, put it over it, make sure it was all sealed up nice and tight. If it was a bigger cut, he would even put aluminum foil around it just to kind of block out the sunshine. He did a bunch of side-by-sides and found that with the Vaseline that they healed about twice as fast. So one spring he went to get a jar of Vaseline, and the jar of Vaseline was empty. And he went into the medicine cabinet. The only thing that he had was Preparation H ointment. Not the cream, you could have the ointment. So he used that this spring, or that spring. And he found that, you know what, the tree was still just as happy as could be, but it seemed like it was healing even faster. He did a little bit of research about the ingredients that are in Preparation H, and he found that, you know what, there's nothing there harmful. There's actually beneficial ingredients in the Preparation H that probably assist with the healing, and it's all scientific. I'm not scientific, I'm not getting into it. I was talking to somebody, and Boone overheard this, and Boone's like, this is all voodoo, it's, well, you know, old wives' tales, it doesn't work. I said, Boone, I have had trees, same size cuts, I did it for myself, just to prove to myself that it worked. He's like, I don't care. I won't tell my students, it doesn't work. I'll tell you, guess what? It does work. But it has to be a species of tree that makes sap, that bleeds. Junipers, yeah, they make a little bit.
Does it work on maples?
No, because it's not resinous. That's a water-based. That's a water-based sap.
So it's a resinous tree.
Yep, only on the resinous species. Although some of the people in the workshop are like, well, I'm going to try it on a maple anyways. I'm like, go ahead, it ain't going to hurt it. Give it a try. No, you need food, that's what I want.
I use it on bug bites.
On what?
Preparation H, bug bites.
It's good stuff. It works up.
Take the bags from under your eyes.
If it works on hemorrhoids, it works on a lot of other things. And that's the Preparation H story. Let's move on. We've got other, I can't say it in this crowd, can I? SHIT, we got other to deal with. That was somebody's comment the other day.
Okay, Chris, we're gonna take a little break. And
Go for it. I'm gonna keep wiring.
Keep wiring, and we're gonna sell raffle tickets. One more thing, I wanna thank Ken for donating 20% proceeds that he made on our stand, and he gave us $120. Thank you, Ken. What's that? Rapper? And Brad, thank you for your donation. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Yes.
Hey Joe, what's this?
That's leftover stuff. So
I've had worse.
Yeah, that was a leftover pile, I didn't want,
I've had worse. I use it. Could be David Easterbrook and straight rotated them. You see in the funk? Well, like I said, I'm trying to limit the option that if he wants to end up going to the upright, that he has something to, or whoever gets it, to do that. This is great because this is getting me on. This is truly an awesome because it's getting me on my side to start working on my trees.
oh, she's coming in. I'm gonna be there from 8 o'clock.
The weather has been awesome.
Keep in touch with any of, some of that study group of Pauline, are you guys still active?
There was, I wish that you still would have been coming back. Where this 12-year-old started.
Oh my, how much fun is that?
His name's Julian. And I had to him after the US National and Pauline. Make sure that
I can't, the rest of me can't finish it. Get ready for it.
Awesome. Oh, where did that I stay pretty much in touch with a lot of the clubs. They want to come over and help out with workshops and stuff. So they're going to do that. It really took everybody by surprise how fast.
I knew she had been dealing with cancer for a while.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was really shocked too. Suddenly,
Myron's married.
yes, well, he's with that Trident. He came out with his new girlfriend, and so I got to meet her. And yeah, he's
Oh my gosh, she's so nice. You know, and God bless. Who wants to be a mom?
yeah. No, I have no issues with that.
No. And I stay in touch with Liz. Yeah, Matt, your kids. You know, she's got twins now. All the chickens are like 9.
I was going to say, those little boys, they're probably
Oh man,
junior high school now.
they are just something else. And I try to get over there as much as I can. In the winter, other than the cancer. Hi. You were looking for a medium shirt? Well, no, you won't. What's that on? What's that on his shoulder right there? You want something to So yeah, I usually go over and I stay with Liz and Matt, and her and the kids and I go skiing.
Oh, sweet.
This year's been a little tough to be able to do that. Cancer took. I was diagnosed early in the spring. And if I didn't advocate for myself, nothing would have gotten done. I went to all the local stuff. I went to the Dana Fargo. I went to Great Women's. I looked at all my options.
everything that could be, possibly done, the percentages. Dana Farber said, this is what we think. Cancer and chemo. And I went back to the cancer doctor in Springfield and I said, Dana is making recommendations and you follow through. And I said, I'm saying, for 7 weeks, this is all there. It was a skin cancer. And I was freaked out that they couldn't find a source. And I'm like, listen, be happy. It's early. Oh my God. Can I bring you something? No. Because of my lovely little cancer episode, my mouth isn't making as much saliva as it should. So I need to sit down and I need to have water and make sure that everything's wet. Yeah, but I need to sit down and take my time. And I just had barbecue and a beer with that guy.
I'll forget some vodka if I have some.
No, that's okay. I'll pass. That was something that stopped for 3.5 months. I couldn't swallow. I didn't miss it. And you know what? I don't drink that much anymore, and it's awesome. It's great. My doctor's very happy. He said I've gone from obese 2 to obese 1 to a perfect BMI. I lost 52 pounds, but most of it was muscle.
I mean, when I was coming in, you weren't that big then.
Oh, yeah, I was in the process of bulking up.
Okay.
Yeah, I was enjoying life a little too much. But I mean, I feel great. And when I get the muscle back, I'm thrilled to death.
All right, good to hear. How long have you been free?
My last treatment was it was the beginning of November. So all the chemo and the radiation is out. Dana Farber, I have to go back and have a blood test done. They are the only cancer hospital in the country that has a specific test to test your DNA. And they tested it before my treatments, and now they need to test it after. And if it comes back as a 0, 100% guaranteed that I am free.
Where and when did you leave?
Right on the top. Hi. I don't like stuff that goes straight up. I don't like stuff that goes straight down. I'm not a big fan of it.
How long have you been in Boston?
Oh, I'm nowhere near Boston. Pardon? I'm nowhere near Boston.
Oh,
I'm an hour, almost 2 hours from Boston. I live out towards the Berkshires, the western Mass. At least for a couple more years, and I'm going back to Maine. That's where I grew up. That's what I love. I have nights in the back of the truck where the coyotes are howling all around the circle, the frogs are peeping. Every bug alive wants to suck your blood.
I couldn't be happy. I was thinking about the bears in the hot tub. Got a statue up in Sierra Madre. What's the bear's name on
I've
it?
seen videos of it.
I just like stinks like crazy.
You guys are insane.
Yeah.
Cooling off.
I'm not even in the house to try to find out what
They will come off too.
Incoming.
Juniper branches from heaven.
Even immediately after I left, I would still be waking up and thinking, from everywhere.
Yeah, we work out a deal where we volunteer twice a year at your shows. And then It's amazing. I like that.
After the fire,
So where's other than Bonsai West, what's the go-to place in Boston area?
Bonsai what?
Bonsai West, right?
Bonsai what?
Oh, really? I'm going, gonna be up there for like 12 days.
I've made peace with London. I know it.
Nice. I
took a while.
I love his area. His display with those cylinders, I love to do something like that.
And
But
listen, Zuma's a great guy.
yeah, we don't do that here. They use cement chimneys.
Zuma's a great guy. You can go to New England Bonsai, which is Ashley Carrier.
New England Bonsai, okay.
That's south.
Is that, we're gonna be in Cape, we're gonna go from Boston to Newburyport to Littleton.
Littleton's where Bonsai West is.
Yeah.
Newburyport's north.
Yeah. My wife's cousin is actually from Littleton. He makes
New England Bonsai is south.
south further than Cape Cod.
No. Help with that up there.
What's that? What's
My life for copper right now.
Oh, yeah.
Hang on.
dealing with construction, dealing with
Think that plastic's on hold?
And then Lindsay closes the door open, it's like, empty.
Like Amazon, right there.
You'll be getting an official, what do you want to eat kind of a thing. May 17th, Saturday.
You go to the door, they usually bring one of those. Yeah, I have to look again, make sure we're not gonna be in business. I know we're going
When is it?
March 15th.
Okay, March 15th. He's at your meeting, whatever. Oh, okay.
Don't bring your dead stick and break it right now.
Not me.
You're the guy that does that.
March 19th. What is that? That's a pretty good band. Sunday. Oh, there you are. Let me see calendar. 15th. Which state are you? Let me look. I think we. Party 1 to 3. Are we
It's slow.
Yes.
Oh, end of the
Okay,
May.
get your raffle tickets and let's get back and
When is your
Kris
thing?
up.
Oh, I'm home. Good. Oh, when's David? March 15th. Oh, that's Gabriel's. So he's here in 2020, but
And we're gonna have three specials tonight. The raffle tree, the pot that Ted brought in, and then the tree that Ray brought in. Right there.
Because everything was, they just had time to get in their car.
Okay, you wanna tell us what you were doing, while we were on break? Can I get your attention, please?
Is it a nice to listen to?
Joe, I really like you, but what the hell is this? You didn't get anybody's attention, did you?
No, I didn't.
That's all right.
hey!
It wasn't me, I didn't whistle, I can't whistle. Apparently Joe wanted you guys to pay attention or something. So while you guys are having snacks, all I was doing was, I was talking with Ted, doing nothing. Trying to stick wire on here, but as fast as I possibly can. And I don't know how much more time you guys are gonna let me have, so.
We got till 9.
So what?
9 o'clock.
Time is it now?
Get another 40 minutes.
How long?
40 minutes.
I need to keep these guys entertained for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Can I get up on the table?
I wouldn't get on that table. Maybe that one.
He's just asking. So, is there anybody here that actually does go out and collect trees from around here? Anywhere? What are you collecting?
Where or what?
What species?
California junipers and 1C junipers.
Where?
Also gotten hemlocks and,
Hemlock?
not here. I go up to Oregon.
Okay.
I don't keep them here either. I keep my friend's house in Oregon. Yeah, lodgepoles and hemlocks up there.
You know, it's funny because he says where. I have so many people. It's like, hey, Chris, where do you collect your trees? Well, I said, Maine, New Hampshire. And they're like, can you be a little more specific? I say New England. And they're like, no, you're going the wrong way. Come on, help me out. I'm like, northeast Atlantic coast. Collectors are very, we don't like telling people. One of the reasons why I don't like to tell people where I collect, I don't have a business, I don't have a business card. I do not have a website. I will not take pictures of trees for you if you get a hold of me on the internet. I will not ship trees to anyone, anywhere. Everything that I've ever done has always been by word of mouth. People come to my yard, they see the trees, they fall in love. I use bottle caps as my price tags. I punch a little hole in them, I put a wire through it. Pauline made me start putting wire through them because she caught somebody moving the bottle caps one day. I put numbers on the bottle caps, whatever the number is. If you like the tree, you bring it to me, you show me the bottle cap. You give me green and the bottle cap back, and I give you the tree, and you walk away, you're happy, I'm happy. I keep all my trees for at least 2 winters. Find some collectors somewhere that are going to keep their trees and make sure that they're very well established, that they're very healthy and very happy. I have people come to my yard, they see brand new collected material, and they're like, I don't care how much I have to pay, I'll buy it. And I'm like, 10 grand? That usually shuts them down. I'm not interested in doing business that way. One of the reasons why I'm very kind of secretive about where I collect is that I really don't want you to know, because I don't want anybody else taking any trees from there, because I'm probably done collecting trees from there very soon as well. We leave them. If we find amazing trees, and there's even a slightest issue that we might have trying to get it out of the ground or out of the bog or from whatever location, we leave it alone. We sit down, we hang out, we take pictures, we'll have a beer with it, and we'll visit it every time that we come back. Who am I to dig up a 600-year-old tree? That's wrong. We only try to collect the trees that we know that we have like a real good percentage with. With larches in the springtime, I'm just about 95%. With white cedar, I already told you, if you can kill one of those, you're doing a real something. I think out of the last 100 white cedar I've collected, I might have had one that I've lost. They're super, super hardy trees. They're great trees to work with. But people that collect trees like to keep their areas to themselves.
It's like fishing, you never want to tell you where the fishing hole is.
I want to tell you where the good fishing hole is, sure.
It's the craziest thing that ever happened collecting a tree.
Me? Oh my God. Good story. You guys can hear me in the back, right? Yeah. Silly thing. So we were up there in the great state of Maine, you know. Yeah, one early spring. We were up there before the bugs were out, so we weren't getting all bit up. And we came out of the bog and we making ourselves some nice little pate wraps with some nice brie cheese and stone ground mustard because, well, we eat really good. Steak, lobster, all that good stuff. I'm a chef. We got all the gear. And we're sitting there, we're having our snackies, and out of the corner of my eye, I see something come up onto the road. It's all black. Weighs about 400 pounds. He's about, 15, 20 yards away. And I nudged my buddy John, and I said, we got company. And he's like, where? And I'm like, and he looks down there, and he's like, what are we going to do about that? Because he was looking like, you can smell the food. He was interested. He said, well, I got my keys in my pocket. I can hit the panic button. I said, that probably should scare him off. And he just kind of looked at us for a few seconds. He turned around and he walked back into the woods. Black bears, they're not that big a deal. You got freaking big cats. They stalk you. They'll kill you. And then you have scorpions and snakes. It's like almost as bad as Florida. Alligators. Man. Did you guys realize that where I collect the larch trees and the bogs and stuff in Maine, bear are not the #1 killer of humans. Moose. If you drive a small car and a moose is on the road and there's no way you can stop, aim for between their legs. If you got a small car, you'll go right under. No, serious stuff. That's how you stay alive. In Maine, they have a hunting season for moose. They opened up. It's on a lottery basis. There's 1,000 people that get to hunt. And some of these guys, they know where the real moose are. I think the biggest one taken was 1,800 pounds. You don't want to hit that with a car. You're dead.
That's a big animal.
They're huge animals. Although, do you guys have elk?
Yeah, not here, but yeah, in California we do.
Oh. We saw some four-legged ungulates today, and I'm like, those are really small. Bob thought they were antelope, but apparently they're like some sort of stunted mule deer you guys have.
That's stunted.
They were pretty small. I mean, they're out in the desert, man. When's the last time they had a drink of water? Poor things.
There were those little things with signs that said water all over the place.
Yes, I got a big kick out of that. On the side of the road, big signs that said water.
Was there water in water?
I don't know, I asked Robert about it,
No, it was like.
he's like, that's so the cows know where to go.
And there were all these like tubs, and shaded tubs, and there were signs that say water, and they're all over the field. It's like, what are the cows read?
That's what I was thinking, I'm like, what is going on? Yeah, so, a lot of the stuff that I'm just cutting out before I finish putting the wire out onto this is just trying to take some of the foliage that's on the top and some of it that's on the bottom. Stuff going straight down, of course, is not, it's actually a rule. And once you know the rule, of course, you can throw it out. Because sometimes that stuff that's growing on the bottom, you know, if you got it wired, you just go like that, and now it's growing on the top, so.
You still got to take it.
Well, you make it grow to the side. You got top branches, bottom branches. If you twist it, then you have side branches. Okay, now that that's all giggly and googly, I think we could, if I can get it to go even. Tips up. Tips up. You didn't buy any raffle tickets, did you? Robert seems to think that he's like the raffle tree king. He said that he's won a lot of them. You guys may want to forbid him from buying more.
Their treasuries don't like that.
That's right, that's right.
That is a possibility too. Are you gonna stay there? You will. Good. Oh no.
Well, Bob, you wanna say something about the California bill?
Something?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, California Bonsai Society show is next month, March 8th and 9th at Huntington. Set up on Friday, March 7th. If you're a member, I expect you to have a tree ready for the show. I'm looking to you at the back row there. Yeah, you know Jonathan. Send the form to Lindsay, get the form to Lindsay. The forms that got emailed out with the newsletter, say send it to Lindsay by March 11th. A little bit late, should have the 8th and 9th. Send it to him by March 1st, please.
That's next week.
Yeah, it's coming up real quick. No, it's sure not next week.
Oh, no, March 1st is next week.
Yeah.
Please don't let your wire get like this at home. 1, 2, 3, 4,
That's great.
5.
Easy access.
You can
6,
do what
7.
Marco does. Marco takes the spool like that and cuts it. Well, he just cuts it in half.
Yeah.
Takes the whole spool and then he's got pieces that are this long. Which is fine if you got little branches, but it's. He did that at my place once. Took a whole roll of number 2 wire and just made it cut it. I said, what the hell are you doing?
It's like that's this. It's kind of rude. We know you're trying to make a point, but that's kind of rude. All right, where are you, little one? And I think we're getting closer. Look, Mark. No hands. You guys ever get confused when you take a piece of wire and you put it down there and you're like, oh crap, I want to go the other way? Don't feel bad.
Ted, are you doing the auction?
So yeah, I collect birch, I collect yellow, river, and white. White birch is probably the least favorite. Their lifespan is very, very short. Yellow birch will grow for 200-300 years. Most people that grow birch get very, very frustrated because
they love to just, this branch is dead. We're just gonna make sure that that branch is dead and they pop about 12 suckers at the base of it. You know? If you understand that the tree's gonna do that, you can use it to your advantage. The cool thing with birches, if you didn't like your tree last year, you're gonna have a new tree next year anyway. We collect hornbeam. We have beech, beautiful beech. The cool thing about the beech, we have a little stylist in nature, and you don't have him. And he goes around in the spring and munches all of the new growth on the beeches and blueberries. I collect blueberries. I have a natural blueberry raft. It is in the biggest pot that Nick Lenz ever made, and it is full. And it's all on one root system. It's this beautiful forest. It's about this tall. And it came that way. I just peeled it off a rock, cut one root, took it home, put it in a pot. Every now and then a blind squirrel can even find a nut. We try a lot of different varieties. Our honeysuckle looks like your pomegranate, where it gets all coiled. There's some beautiful examples of that. I'm going to try to get some smaller ones and send them out to Robert, just to see how it does.
Yeah.
They have beautiful flowers.
He's got honeysuckles like this.
I've got one in my yard, the base on it, it's in a bonsai pot. The base on it's this big. And it comes up and it's got this big, long branch. And Will's like, next year I'm carving it. I met Will. Good story, sorry, I hate stories. Will was supposed to be at my house for one day. One day only. Do a workshop. He was going to spend the night, and then the guy was going to pick him up the following morning. He got a phone call that night. The guy that was going to pick him up was in the hospital. Kris, can you keep Will for a couple of days? Sure. 6 days later, I took Will kayaking. I took him hiking. Called every friend I know. Bring over a tree for Will to carve where he's bored. Super nice guy. We became really, really good friends, and I love having him come and stay with us on the East Coast. It's a lot of fun. All right, stupid tree. How are you doing? You have to stay because I need you as an anchor. That's just aluminum wire. My tools don't mind aluminum wire. Yeah, I got that one there.
Are you gonna keep all the roots?
I'm going to keep all. I want to keep most of the roots because he said it was just repotted. That's something. Whoever wins the tree, they need to talk to that man about the repotting of it and what's going on. I know nothing about that.
All I did was kind of slip on it.
But I would let somebody from this area talk to you more about repotting than me. Like I said, we don't start repotting our trees. Our deciduous will start breaking bud about, maybe first, second week of April. You know, if you have maples, we have elms, ours start to break about the first or second week of April. Sorry. I'm sorry, actually, I should say, because your growing season is amazing. Joe, did you say you brought your tools with you?
Yeah.
You got a pair of real cheap pliers? Yeah. Not my little Pauline special. They're great when you're trying to bend small wire.
They're good for peeling.
When I start doing this, I like regular just fire pliers. Oh, that's beautiful.
Do you need another set of pliers?
Nope, I'm good. Another quick little story about Nick Lenz in the spring. One of the reasons why people would call him the ogre, you would look at his thumbnails. They'd be a little bit long, and they would be black. From scraping off all the bark and getting all the resin and stuff, and it's almost impossible to get that stuff out of there. I asked him one day, I said, Nick, man, come on. Clean your freaking fingers. They're tools. Okay, sorry. Sorry I asked. leave this on there? That looks kinda nice. You like that? They got white bark now, green foliage? No? Nope, I ain't going that way.
Why not just cut it off and then peel it off?
Some a tough guy. I don't know. I could have cut all the foliage off and stripped it off easier. At the workshop that I did at Jason's house, there was a young man who brought this very tall, it was this big around at the base, and it was that big around at the top. And it had this, the roots came out real kind of funky, and it had this very, very gentle bend. And all it had was just these little sprigs of foliage. I told him, I said, wire every main branch of those, move them down, cut everything that's growing off underneath. He got all of that done, and I asked Jason if he had like a bone pile where he had dead branches. So I went out and I got a bunch of dead branches. The guy had already brought a drill, he knew what was going on. And we were matching the dead branches to the drill bits. And we drilled a hole almost all the way through, and we took the dead branches. And we started pushing them in. We were implanting gins. And this kid was like, this is great. It made the tree really cool, really interesting. And all his little short branches that he'd wired straight down, we just started putting wiggles in. And the tree looked really freaking cool. Go find another juniper that's beam pole, almost straight. It's got 5 nice, beautiful little gins in it. And it has these itty bitty fluffy branches. Nobody has that. It was cool. He does. He's happy. And I'm gonna be happy too. Here, watch. Get out of here. Oh, I know. I could have had all kinds of little small, little fluffies. Getting there. We're almost there. Yes, Pauline, I know. Only have one more. No more on that.
So what do you use for a soil mix?
Soil? Almost the same as what you guys use, believe it or not. I don't use any, no organics whatsoever. I use lava, akadama, and where most of you will use pumice, for whatever reason, I like perlite. I can buy perlite fairly cheap. Yeah, I have to screen it, and it's ugly to do it. You know, I got the N95 mask on. I'm waiting for a really breezy day. I have this sifter that I've made that will sift it down into 3 different particle sizes. And I get on the phone and I call some young people that always want a little bit of information in bonsai, and I make them do all the shaking, and I sit there in the chair and supervise. And they're like, that's what you're supposed to do these days, Chris. Oh my God, I did that and I threw my glasses. Where'd I put them?
Right there, to your left, to your right, your other left.
It happens.
You know it sucks when you need to find your glasses,
Well, you need a set of glasses to find the glasses. This is yours. I don't want to make a mistake of that. This I don't need you. That's too small. Take me one more piece. I love using up other people's wire, especially when it's recycled Budweiser cans.
You don't have to recycle Budweiser cans, whatever the Chinese beer is.
Sing Chow? No, that's Thai. Thai beer's good. Be nice, tree. Don't stop wiggling. Start wiggling.
That was a great little bonsai.
Floofer. Bye. You know what? Whoever wants to.
Cut it off. Oh, gosh.
Listen, that's what you said about that tree in your yard too. Just cut it off. And I'm
I
like,
spent all day wiring a tree about a cascade. The cascade branch was like this long and straight with nothing in it, and then cool stuff.
but.
So I just said, cut it off. Just need the upright part.
Just be done with it.
It's better.
Oh. That'll fill in there. Those will fill in there. And this, oh my God, I love it. Look at that little pom-pom. Yay.
Thank you.
Oop. Okay, so what I originally saw, after I fixed this so it doesn't have 18 different ends, what I originally saw, I saw the trunk come up and make this 90-degree bend. And I just began following this, looking for taper. And then I noticed that it had a lot of little branching here. And I thought, you know, I can probably just kind of fan that out. That'll look cool. Might have a little cascade action going on. Or some of these branches could be cut back short and this could become like a first branch. This could be swung back around and you could still have an upright tree. So, I mean, whoever wants it, they could have it as kind of like this windswept cascadey thing, or we can still crank this even more and bring it up and make it more of just kind of like an upright tree way out here on the trunk. Okay, so that's kind of, you know, what I saw in it, the best way to go, easiest for the tree, less invasive, less damage, less harm, and the healthiest thing for this specific tree.
If you're gonna keep it as a cascade, you cut that upper part back.
This one?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is going to start shading over, but apparently you guys have no issue with sunshine here. Most of you have to set up shade cloth. How's that feel? Haha, not us. Okay? My trees are in sunshine from the minute it comes up until the minute it goes down. You know, we water a couple of times a day. Yeah, it's a different climate, and it's all things that we have to get used to when we're growing bonsai where we're at. We have a lot of new people in our club. For whatever reason, our club went from almost disintegrating to, we have close to 100 members in my little town, city, and a lot of them get into it and they're like, well, we want Brazilian rain trees, we want, all these wild exotic things, and I'm like, have you got $15,000, $20,000 for a greenhouse? No. I said, how about you start hitting the local woods where the beaver are and finding some blueberry, maybe some beech or some birch. If you find a really nice one, don't touch it. Get some smaller ones. See if you can grow those first. And when you learn how to grow those, go get the big one, or the good one, that you haven't told anybody about, and you've been waiting to collect it for like 8 years. I do it all the time. We have beech trees. We collected a few of them, almost all of them died. I didn't see anything. Anybody hear it? It seemed like they grew like our spruce do. They would put out a long root and pop a tree. The root would keep going out and pop a tree. So if you tried to collect the spruce, all you had was like one root going one way, one root going the other way, and you're holding on to a T and you got nothing. These beeches were the same way. They were coming off of mother trees. So what we've done is we've gone out and we've separated like the mother root. The trees are all fine. And then we went through and we went up close to the trees
and we separated that main tap root so that feeder roots would work. And now in about 4 or 5 more years, we'll go back. These beech trees, the bases on them are about this big. They're about this tall, and they're the gnarliest things you've ever seen. And that's because the beaver come in and munch them down every year. They're beautiful. But it's almost a 10-year project. Sometimes I've had a white cedar. I nursed it on the mountain for 6 years, brought it back to health before I ever thought about collecting it. For me, at the end of the day, it comes down to learn the species, learn how to take care of it, learn how to grow it, then go and collect it. Okay? Some people are never going to collect trees. They go to nurseries. They collect trees. What about your neighbor's yard? Yardadori is perfect with me. I see landscapers in malls and they're pulling out like little hedges. Oh my God, some of that stuff is really good material. Okay? You can find wild trees and collect trees almost anywhere. But you need to learn the species and keep them happy, keep them healthy. That's the biggest thing.
You can also go to nurseries and buy trees.
Oh, you can
Just
go.
saying.
I'm sorry. Mr. Pressler has this wonderful nursery. It's called Commercial Nursery. Please frequent his place, buy his trees, his pots, his soil, and his tools.
You can't buy his,
You can't buy soil?
you can't buy his trees.
Why not?
He can't afford them. No.
Okay.
But he is, never mind, I'll tell you the story on the way home.
Every artist has heard that story.
No. Robert was telling me that he's got his normal price list, and then there's another price for a certain group of people, and another price for if you're even worse than that. So I was just asking if you were on that list.
I'm there, I'm like, what there?
So again, this is like an hour and a half with a tree I haven't even seen. Am I like super proud of this? It came out okay. Typically when I sit down and I start doing trees like this, I'll come back through and I'll take out all of these things that are all growing up, that are all growing down. I'll start taking out more little itty bitty pieces in between the crotches, and there's a lot of fine tuning that you can do to make it look even better and better. It's like I'm going to sit here even without my glasses, and it's like I know that all of that stuff needs to go. So hopefully whoever has this, can you repot these every other year or every year?
You can repot them whenever you want, however you want, pretty much, except for August.
Or you could. That's a death sentence for me in my climate. No. It's once every 3 years you repot these. Oh yeah, and this is. You have azaleas that you love? This is my azalea. The procumbens, I have one in my yard. And I water it like this. I don't even look at it. I'm afraid it's going to die. It's happy, it's healthy.
Maybe I may think of that. Maybe I don't want to live in a tree.
Azaleas don't like you. Anybody got questions? Anything?
What's the meaning of life?
Huh?
Oh. Does anybody really know what time it is?
Yes,
That's not right.
It's 6 a.m. somewhere in the world.
Somewhere in the world. It's 6:53.
It's also 5 o'clock in the afternoon somewhere in the world.
And according to Steve, it's happy hour somewhere.
It's always happy hour.
Thanks, Joe. That was fun.
Thank you, Chris.